So jump back to the browser and go to the test.php file and refresh. And you should see this, a list of our 3 users, along with the username, birth year, shoe size, favorite band, and name fields, and then a delete column as well. Now, if you click on one of these delete items, you'll see a message here at the top that says the user homestar, or whatever username you deleted, was deleted. And now we only see 2 items listed here. If we go back to PHPMyAdmin and we click the people table and we're browsing it, we see that there's only 2 records now, George and Sally. So we've successfully deleted something from the database through our script, which is pretty cool. Let's go ahead and delete one more. So I'm going to go back here and click delete next to George. Sure enough, he disappears. And if we go back to PHPMyAdmin and click browse again, you'll see we only have 1 record now. Now, before we take a look at the code, let's refresh our database with our original information. So I'm going to go to the import tab at the top here. I'm going to browse to where our export was. Again, it should be called mydatabase.sql, and I'm going to click go. Now it says we got the import successfully finished, 7 queries executed. If we click on browse though, we'll see that there's actually 4 records now. There's duplicate Sally records. And if we go back to our script and refresh, you'll see that there's now 3 records, and we get this message at the top that says the user admin was deleted. Now 2 things happened here. First of all, when we were in PHPMyAdmin and we imported, it didn't empty the people database first before it imported the new records. So we made a duplicate record here of Sally because there was 1 Sally record already in the database. So if we want to do this cleanly, we actually have to empty out the database, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. The second problem was that when we refreshed this page, we triggered the deletion of a user by variables in the URL. Now you saw how we did this earlier. These are called get variables. They're part of a query string in the URL, and this can be passed through a form, but we can also pass it manually through URLs on our page. And you see it says action equals delete and username equals admin. So when we refresh this, it ran that delete query just because it was in the URL. So to get around this, we probably want to use a different method for deleting users so that people don't accidentally refresh and delete a user when they really didn't intend on doing that. So this is just a good example of why in general it's a good idea to not pass variables through the URL when we're dealing with data, either deleting or updating data, because people can inadvertently trigger these actions by doing something like going to a page in their history or a bookmark. And this also opens up potential for another type of security exploit where someone can create a link like this and put it somewhere where they think you might click on it. You click on it, and if you're logged in as an administrator on your site, in this case we don't even have a login check, then it will run potentially a destructive action on your site. This is called a Cross Site Request Forgery, and even though it sounds a little bit obscure, it can be a common exploit because it can be so easy to forget to protect against it. Okay, so let's actually roll our database back to its original state. I'm going to jump to PHPMyAdmin, and while we're browsing the people table, let's click empty at the top. And this says, do you really want to truncate table people? So this is actually another SQL query that will completely empty our database. We get to keep all of the fields, but there's going to be no data or records in them. Let's go ahead and click OK. Now our table is empty. We can go ahead and import. So I'm going to click on the import tab. I'm going to browse to the SQL export that we made earlier, and then I'm going to click go to import it. And now if we click browse, we'll see we have our 3 records. So we should be good to go. And now in our test.php file, let's make sure to remove everything from the query here and then hit enter to refresh to prevent us from accidentally deleting another record.